Starfield, is it going to be the best game ever or the biggest disappointment? That's going to be the big question a lot of us have on our minds right now. But today we've got a ton of leaks and rumors to go over because yes, the game has been leaking. And we have some official new concept art straight from Bethesda. Check this out. It's beautiful. How will this all translate into actual gameplay? Well, we're going to have to find out, but we'll review a lot of these concept arts and what they mean because they were recently revealed at this Bethesda concert thing that they held for Skyrim, so that's cool. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff to talk about regarding Starfield, but it feels like it's really chasing No Man's Sky at this point, and it's going to be like a fleshed out No Man's Sky combined with Skyrim. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens, but yeah, let's dive into it right now. First of all, starting out with the leaks. Now remember, take this stuff with a grain of salt, but I want to review it and see what we can determine if what is real or not. So let's dive into it right now, shall we? So this comes from a leaker called Licker, and he goes on to say this about General Steph. He claims that he's like an insider and perhaps has worked at Bethesda or something like that. It says, game starts with you choosing your location, aka you do not start at the same planet or station every time you start a brand new game. It depends on various things. So basically it sounds like to me that your background that you choose in this game, because we do know there's going to be like those RPG elements in this game, could actually determine where you end up in the universe at the start of the game, which I think makes a lot of sense and would be really, really cool. So like if your history is being on the streets or something like that, then perhaps you would end up in some sort of dystopian, futuristic looking city, which by the way, we're going to get into those concept arts in just a moment, but you did get to see that stuff in previous concept arts as well. But anyway, let's keep going now. Of course, it's going to be flyable spaceships with space combat. Missiles, lasers, and Gatling guns are in this rumor as well. So a wide assortment of different types of weapons to invest in, and I'm curious to see if, you know, Gatling guns actually can penetrate certain armors versus lasers. I would imagine lasers would be able to penetrate shields better than Gatling guns. That's my theory at least. But we do have full-blown ship customization. You'll be choosing from a base model of ship and then going from there. And from there on out, you can swap things like engines, weapons, cargo, whatever. You can also make cosmetic changes, pretty much change the whole ship out. Think of it like power armor in Fallout 4. And let me tell you what, that sounds actually really, really cool. And you know what, we should jump to some of the concept arts that they did show off at the recent Bethesda thing, since we are talking about ships right now, because they did showcase a brand new ship, which looks really, really cool. And as you can see right here, it almost looks like it is landing in, let me get it bigger for you guys. It almost looks like it's landing into a planet. So that might mean that we could have full-blown seamless transitions between planets, or it could be like a cutscene type deal. But this looks like a pretty beefy, big ship that perhaps players could upgrade to eventually. You know, No Man's Sky also has different classes of ships in it as well, and they're really good at having seamless flow between space and going on ground on foot. So, you know, honestly, I think maybe we'll see something like that with Starfield, considering they've reworked their engine, but also noteworthy, Microsoft has invested heavily into Bethesda. So I'm just theorizing that they have seen something big from Starfield. At least that's my opinion. All right, so let's keep moving on. So we have Nova Galactic is one of the manufacturers. They offer 3 different base models: Exploration, Cargo, Gunboat. Axion Energy offers 2, Mining and Cargo. Argos has 1, Science and Exploration. So that's really interesting that there would be different type of like corporations that would be offering different type of ships that can actually do different things, and that makes a lot of sense to me, especially if they're tied to factions. Perhaps there's a faction that is asking for certain types of minerals, and then you could become an expert at mining and that sort of thing, or perhaps you can become a bounty hunter. That would also be really, really cool. Now they go on to say this: there's going to be full weapon and armor customization like in Fallout 4. We did get to see a lot of cool stuff in the Fallout universe, and I think it's gonna translate pretty nicely into Starfield, of course. Now, gravity changes depending on where you are. They say planet, moon, space, and station have all different gravities. Wildlife looks more bulkier on planets, moons with higher gravity, and sleeker on planets, moons with lower gravity. It's very science-based, so all of it makes sense, excuse me. Since some wacky stuff, but they say this, there's still some wacky stuff, but that's to be expected. You know, again, I'm getting No Man's Sky vibes from this because of just how you can explore the planets in No Man's Sky. As you can see this shot right here, and you run across a bunch of different life forms and wacky stuff, but you know, they try to make it match the planet that you are actually on. Sounds like they're going to try the same thing with Starfield, in my opinion. So that could be actually really, really cool. Now, let's keep going, shall we? Now, they say this, wildlife looks more bulkier. Okay, we went over that. Now, it says gravity is a new mechanic in Starfield since Havoc is now gone and has been replaced in-house. For example, you could turn off gravity in a ship or a station and everything that isn't attached to a surface starts floating. And he says think prey in that way. That's really cool. You kind of wonder, how would that be used for gameplay? Well, imagine getting on a ship or something and being able to deactivate gravity and take down enemies that are just floating around aimlessly and helplessly. That would be a really cool mechanic. I remember one of the Star Treks actually did that. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense to actually implement that gameplay in that way. Now, they go on to say this, anti-gravity exists, and no, it's not by centrifugal force or something. And it says intelligent life exists, although it will be part of the main story's mystery. Consider every sort of alien to be 99% primitive life forms like Ashta or non-violent species. Now, planets, yes, there will be multiple dozens, even planets, moons, asteroids, and other stations. Each planet is bigger than Skyrim's map with negative space in between every handcrafted location. So that's really interesting. So I would expect, if that's true, that sounds like a stretch, but I mean, they've been working on this game forever. That part to me sounds a bit like a stretch, but yeah, that would be amazing if each individual planet was actually bigger than Skyrim. That to me would be absolutely insane, but it also kind of worries me. I hope that it's not just barren space. Sure, you can have open worlds that are huge, but you can have also open worlds that are huge and very, very boring. So, and I've never ever thought that Elder Scrolls or, you know, Fallout are boring ever when exploring them. So I hope they fine-tune that and they're able to, you know, deliver some really cool planets. Now, they say this procedural tech used between locations now works and looks much better than any of the previous games. You sometimes won't even notice it. There's rating AI stuff now built into this as well, as other stuff is no longer just a brush tool to paint areas. It could do much more. Sadly, won't be part of CK. Now, settlement building does return. I'm really hyped to see what you guys build, because I remember when I think it was Fallout 76 came out, I did like a whole settlement building type video series where you guys submitted your stuff. I hope to do that again. But anyway, they go on to say this about settlement building, that it's much improved. Early on in the game, you'll get a quest to build a colony on a planet. You could decide to head there straight from the beginning of the game, or just leave it on the side and do it later like usual. It's completely optional stuff. The quest basically acts as a tutorial to explain to the player how settlement building works. It's its own quest line with multiple tutorials showing you different things and some lore attached to it, so it actually makes sense why you're building a colony there. The dude giving you this quest is named Branson Garvey. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, you know, let's go back to the concept arts right now, because they did showcase some interesting stuff with these concept arts right here. This one interests me a lot. It almost reminds me of Dune for some weird reason, like this thing is mining this planet. But yeah, you will, of course, see a wide variety of different planets, and it's going to be interesting if you can actually settle in an area or outside of an area that's considered a metropolis. That, I don't know if that will actually happen in this game. We'll see what happens. We do, again, know that base building will be a part of this game. All right, let's keep going, shall we? It says, throughout the systems, you can offer refugees and other people to start a new life in your colony. Once they're there, they will start setting up shops, and if you build a landing pad, traders as well as new colonists will come visit your colony. There's much more to talk about that stuff. It'll be on one of the biggest marketing selling points for the game. If you have more questions, feel free to ask once you complete it. Okay, Get it. All right, sweet. So, you know, that again reminds me a lot of what they are doing with No Man's Sky, in that, you know, you can build settlements and have more people show up in that way. Now, this sounds like, of course, it's going to be AI. This game is going to be single player only, so that would make a lot of sense for AI to start showing up and being interested in your settlement, which could be interesting if you could turn your settlement into some sort of trading post, perhaps, where you can make it really busy and a hot spot in the universe. But yeah, look at this area. This area looks really, really cool. Kind of reminds me of Dagobah from Star Wars for sure. And then you have your more dystopian, futuristic looking cities that they did show off. But let's keep going, shall we? So the leak does continue onward. There's some lore story stuff in here as well. They say the ships use warp tech to go from one place to another, and helium-3 fuel for regular combustion engines when you want to manually fly your ship. So to me, it sounds like you're going to be heavily investing into your ship, not just your character, but your ship is going to be like your baby. You're going to want to take good care of it. And from the trailer, you know, to me, I really felt that from the trailers that they have already shown. Now, they say this graviton filled loop array is the warp drive. Yeah, that's a name. Sounds like crap in my opinion. Earth is a crap hole, even more so than now. You cannot land there, but you can go to all the other places in our star system. If that's true, perhaps if we can't land on Earth and it's absolutely devastated, maybe we could see something like that with Starfield DLC or Starfield 2, where they kind of experiment with reviving Earth or something like that. But that'd be interesting. Now it says there's a city on Mars called Sidonia, one of the bigger urban locations in the game since it was first placed in Starfield's universe that got colonized. All other colony cities are pretty young still. Interesting. Two major pirate organizations, Black Fleet and Crimson Fleet, they are all in a war with each other, and you can join either of them and destroy both by joining Vanguard, a security force within the United Colonies, kind of like FBI, CIA, who deal only with heavy stuff. There's also a few other pirate groups, but mostly non-organized pirates without a special name or something. So yeah, it seems like pirate groups are going to be like the seedier underbelly of like these cities and things like that. Should be cool to see them warring together, and I'm curious to see if you can perhaps form a treaty maybe between two factions. I think that would be neat to bring the peoples together, but we'll see. Now it says in Crike's system there's an asteroid belt around a brown dwarf, a pirate city built into one of the asteroids, a neutral place for all the pirate organizations and groups where the player can go and join one of the two. There's also another ship manufacturer you can unlock later on should you choose to become a real pirate. There is a cult faction who believe that Jesus God came from the stars and are looking for his real birthplace. You can join them. Yeah, you know, it's interesting they mentioned that in this leak, because Todd Howard himself has said that this game is very much about discovering who we are. So I do think there might be some like sort of religious undertones in this game. I would expect that alongside scientific stuff as well. So it's going to be a mix of everything, I think. Now it says this main story revolves around that alien structure thing you saw in the trailer. I'm not going to get into this stuff. We're not going to get into that because if that ends up being true, I don't want to spoil story stuff for you. So it's that simple. I just want to talk about gameplay mechanics and things like that. It sounds really, really interesting so far. But yeah, let's move into the concept arts a little bit more, shall we? We'll continue exploring those right now. We have this one right here. I think we only have one more that we have not seen. We've seen in previous trailers, but it's very cyberpunk in my opinion. I mean, it feels like cyberpunk is going to end up in Starfield, which I think, hey, that would actually be really, really cool. All right, I think you guys know what time it is. It is time for your top comments. I love reading your comments, and you guys had some things to say about my recent Starfield video, so let's dive into that right now, shall we? So my recent video was called Starfield, huge news update, character creation companions in the next gameplay trailer. So yeah, it is confirmed that there's going to be a major character creator in this game, and it looks like we're going to be getting many different type of companions, including robot companions. Now we have Bruce Wayne who says this: imagine the not safe for work mods this game will have. He goes straight for that. All right. And then we have Broken Noah, who says, can we romance the robot? It's a very important question for the learned and cultured men of this world. Yep. Then we have KG, who says, can't wait to see more Starfield next year, but not getting my hopes up yet. Yeah, you know, I'm really keeping my hype levels like, stay down. I'm trying not to get too overhyped about this one, but, you know, the artwork and things like that, it looks really, really good. And if this is really what the game looks like in engine, I'm going to be blown away. I mean, they claim it's a huge leap for their engine, much like Oblivion to Skyrim. So that gets me a little bit excited as well. But I'm guarding those hype levels. All right, let's continue. We have Slithering Peanut, who says this: we will never see uncut gameplay footage. Bethesda learned that lesson years ago. And of course, they love the mod community. They've been fixing Bethesda games for free for 20 years. Yeah, I know what you mean there. But, you know, it would be cool if they got the modding community more involved and you see these talented modders be able to make some money off of it as well. They deserve that, in my opinion. There's so many amazing mods for Skyrim and Fallout. All right, so we have RM, who says this: after what's been going on with Bethesda games, I'll wait before I get this. I hear ya. Wait before you buy. It's just the way to do it. Absolutely don't pre-order. Corky Purple says, this is the first time seeing you after following and dipping in and out of this channel for a few years. You don't look dissimilar to how I imagined you. Okay. Then we have Ray, who says the following. He says, looks interesting and amazing so far, but the pronoun part of the character creation rubs me the wrong way. We have never really had the point of picking that in games in general. I honestly don't see the point of that. It just comes as virtual signaling or to appease a certain micro part of the player base. You know, I'm just gonna pick male and be done with it. So that's how I'm gonna do it and just move on. All right, so we have this one right here, Rocker Spaceman, who says, I watched the interview with Todd Howard, and from what he said in the interview by saying that Starfield will be the Skyrim in space makes me think of Outer Worlds. It's encouraging that he said they're going to be going back to making single-player games, but I will wait for the gameplay video in the summer to decide how I move forward with Starfield. Yep, that's what I say. But, you know, even gameplay demonstrations are like a vertical slice of the game, and they're very fine-tuned for marketing reasons. So I think it's going to be determined if this game is good or not after the game releases. That's just how it is. You guys saw what happened with Cyberpunk. I just hope it doesn't happen here with Starfield, but I can't tell you the future at all. It just seems to keep happening with games. You guys saw what happened with Fallout 76. They have definitely worked very hard on that one to improve it. But yeah, we'll see. See what Bethesda does with Starfield. I'm just grateful that it's single player and it's not another Fallout 76, to be blunt. All right, there you have it. The latest happenings around Starfield. Look out for more Starfield news and updates and open world gaming goodness. And I will see you all next time. Take care.